The Empty Lunchbox, made by Tell.
Part 1. The Hungry Afternoon. It was a hot afternoon at school. The sun was very bright, and all the children were tired from their morning lessons. The school bell rang loudly, and everyone ran to the playground for lunchtime. The children sat under the big trees, opening their colorful lunchboxes. Some had sandwiches with cheese, some had fresh red apples, and some had chocolate biscuits. The playground filled with happy voices and the sound of opening boxes. Tom, a quiet boy with brown hair and kind eyes, sat alone near the fence. He always ate lunch by himself because he was shy. He opened his blue lunchbox and smiled. Inside was his favorite cheese sandwich, cut into 2 perfect triangles by his mother, a shiny red apple, and a chocolate biscuit. Tom was about to take his first bite when he noticed something. Next to him sat a new boy he had never seen before. The boy had dark hair and looked nervous. This was David, who had started at the school just 3 days ago. David slowly opened his old, brown lunchbox. Tom watched from the corner of his eye. David looked inside for a moment, then quickly closed it again. His face turned red, and he looked down at his shoes. Tom saw that David's lunchbox was completely empty, not even a piece of bread inside. Part 2. The Small Choice. Tom looked at his own delicious food. His stomach made a hungry noise. He had been waiting all morning for lunchtime, and he really wanted to eat everything. The cheese sandwich looked perfect, and the apple was his favorite kind. But when he saw David sitting there with his empty lunchbox, Tom felt something strange in his chest. It was like a warm, uncomfortable feeling. He thought about how hungry David must be. He thought, what if it was me? What if I came to school with no food? How would I feel? Tom remembered his first day at this school 2 years ago. He had been so nervous and scared. At least he had food then. David was new and hungry. Tom looked at David again. The new boy was trying to pretend he wasn't hungry, but Tom could see him watching the other children eat. David's eyes followed every sandwich and every apple. Without thinking too much about it, Tom made a decision. He carefully broke his cheese sandwich in half. The 2 pieces were still big enough to fill a hungry stomach. "Here," Tom said quietly, holding out half of his sandwich to David. "We can share this." David looked up, surprised. His eyes grew wide with shock. "Are you sure?" he asked in a quiet voice. "But it's your lunch. You must be hungry too." "My mom always makes my sandwiches too big anyway. And friends should share, right?" David took the sandwich with careful hands, like it was made of gold. "Thank you," he whispered. "This is very kind." They ate together in comfortable silence, both enjoying the simple cheese sandwich more than any fancy meal. Part 3. A New Friendship. From that day on, everything changed for both boys. Tom and David always sat together at lunchtime under their favorite tree. The tree had thick branches that gave good shade, and from there they could watch all the other children playing. Sometimes Tom shared his food when David forgot his lunch. Sometimes David brought extra sandwiches from home and shared them with Tom. They talked about many things. David told Tom about his old school and the friends he missed. Tom told David about his favorite books and the games he liked to play. They discovered they both loved the same superhero movies and the same computer games. They laughed together when Tom told funny jokes. They helped each other with difficult homework. Tom was good at math, so he helped David with numbers. David was good at history and geography, so he helped Tom learn about different countries and important events. Slowly, Tom was no longer the quiet, shy boy who sat alone. And David was no longer the lonely new boy who didn't know anyone. They had become real friends, the kind who cared about each other. Part 4. The Football Match. 1 month later, on a Friday afternoon, the school held its big monthly football match. All the children were excited. The two classes in the school would play against each other, and everyone would watch and cheer. Tom loved football more than anything. He watched football on TV every weekend with his father. He knew all the players, names, and all the rules. But there was one big problem. Tom was small for his age, and the other boys were much bigger and stronger. When the game began, Tom tried his best to get the ball. But every time it came near him, the bigger boys pushed past him and took it away. They were faster and stronger, and they didn't even notice little Tom trying to play. Tom felt sad and frustrated. His team was losing, and he couldn't help it all. He felt like giving up and sitting on the grass to watch instead of play. But then he heard a familiar voice shouting from across the field. "Pass it to me, Tom. I'm with you." It was David, running fast toward the goal. Tom saw his chance. The ball rolled right to his feet. Instead of trying to run past the big boys alone, he kicked it hard toward David. David caught the ball perfectly and ran like the wind toward the goal. "Come on, Tom," David called. "Run with me." Tom ran as fast as his legs could carry him. David passed the ball back to Tom when a big boy tried to stop him. Then Tom passed it back to David. They worked together like a real team. Finally, Tom kicked the ball hard into the goal. Goal! The score was now equal, 2-2. For the first time in his life, Tom heard his classmates cheering his name. "Well done, Tom! Great goal, Tom!" He felt like he was flying. Part 5. The Lesson. Months passed, and Tom and David remained the best of friends. They still sat together every lunchtime, still shared their food, and still helped each other with everything. Tom had learned that when you share something, even just half a sandwich, you don't lose anything. Instead, you gain something much more valuable. You gain friendship, happiness, and the wonderful feeling that comes from helping others. From that day on, whenever Tom opened his lunchbox, he always remembered, a small act of kindness is like a seed. When you plant it, it grows into something beautiful that can feed many hearts.
Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe to Engly Tell, and let's learn English through amazing stories together.